friends. Glad to be here. Hope everybody's doing all right tonight. We are going to be doing a flight from Indianapolis to Los Angeles. Now, last night the simulator crashed on me, which sucks. And I mean the actual sim crash, not the plane. But I'll have my new computer here in about a week. That'll fix a lot of things. And then, of course, I was using the Delta A cars, and that was just, I had too many things going, I think, and you know. So anyway, we're doing a flight with Gold Star International. We're going to do that tonight with this. Let me hide this. We got that out of the way. I've got my flight plan loaded here on vPilot. I will be opening chat, but I'm going to get through some stuff here first. We already did the walk around. All that's done. Fuel's good. And let's just... Yeah, pre-flight flow is completed, so let's do the checklist here. Let me get the brakes on first. Alright, parking brake is on. Let's go ahead and do that.
Ready for the departure briefing? Alright, it will be a left seat takeoff from Kilo, India, November, Delta, 2, Kilo, Lima, Alpha, X-ray. Taxi route is per ATC instruction. We'll be departing on runway 23, Romeo. Climbing via the departure procedures to an initial altitude of 30,000 feet.
So
standard reject and emergency procedures apply. Any questions?
A couple people up there, because I'd like to talk about a couple things.
Pre-flight checklist. Oxygen.
Test it.
Navigation, transfer, and display switches.
Normal and auto.
Window heat.
On.
Pressurization
that was a
boats
request
auto.
For
flight instruments.
vPilot. So
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
Flight instruments.
Heading set, altimeter set.
Parking brake.
Set.
Fuel control switches.
Cut off.
Checklist complete.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Alright, we're good there on that checklist.
Forms main row 1 column, vPilot row 1 column 3. At RTEX1/7 row 1 column 4. At RTEX1/7 menu left center fuel pump on. Left 2, land, 4, left 5, FS actions clear engine. 4, let's push back. Land 3, let's door cruise clear engine number 2, sand, left 2, 1. Left 1, let's open door rear. Left 2, let's open door rear.
Okay, doors are closed.
2, let's payload maintenance auto. 3, let's door cruise clear. Logo lights on. 4, let's push back. Land 5, land 4, let's push back. Flight deck door auto, push back. Comms, 4, land 5. Shock select 5, let's set slash X remove the rear. Land 5, let's set slash X remove the rear. Colon 5, cold. Less X. Left FMC light off, right F, land 5, let's set slash remove the rear. Shock select 5, let's set slash remove the rear. Space X, less space 5, colon, space, less X, less space, colon 5, land 5. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1 forms main row 1 column 3. Flows and checklist group. After 3FL flow. Before taxis flow. Before CH message. Before start flow complete. Land. WASM interface. WABI land. Before start flow completed.
Okay, so that's done.
Push back row 1 column 2. Push back light off FMs. Shock select 5. Let's slash remove the rear. Colon 5. Less X.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Push back. Shock select 5. Land 6. Left land 5. Let's slash remove the rear. E. S. Less space. Colon 5. Colon space. S. Less space.
Okay,
colon,
we're
5.
good now.
Land 5. Forms main row 1 column 2. Forms main row 1
Let's do
column
our
2.
before start checklist.
Before start flow button. Before start CHKLSD but press.
Before start
Push back row 1
checklist.
column 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator
Flight
1.33.8.0
deck
row
door.
1 column.
Closed and locked.
Microsoft Flight Simulator
Fuel
1.
33832 pounds.
Check.
Passenger
MCP
sign.
229.
Set.
MCP. Speed. 1
MCP altitude 37 feet.
0. Heading. 229er. Altitude. 3000.
Check.
Takeoff speeds.
30,000, you're gonna be cruise speed tonight.
6. VR 148. V2 155.
Set.
CDU preflight.
Completed.
Rudder and aileron trim.
Free and 0.
Taxi and takeoff briefing.
Completed.
Anti-collision lights.
On.
Checklist complete.
Alright, good. Well, so that's
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.
that's done.
Forms main row 1 column 2.
Let's go ahead
Flows and checklist grouping. Before start CH. Microsoft push back row 1 column 3.
and and get our pushback
Pushback
done
dialog.
here.
FMC display pushback is taxi line 1. 262 push dial units 2. Left shock 40. Shock select 5. Left select move the rear.
Right
Pushback.
soft 5. Left soft 5.
Pushback.
Break to ground. Go ahead.
Act RT elect 1 slash 7. Forms main row 1 column 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 row 1 column. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
Straight out.
Num lock off. Num lock on.
Roger that.
All right.
Ready for push straight back.
Release the brakes here.
Parking brake off. Parking. Parking brake off. Parking brake light off.
There we go. Parking brake is off.
Brakes released. Brakes released. Here we go.
1 knots ground speed.
All right. Good
Act RT
deal.
elect 1. Forms main row 1 column. Close and checklist proving. Before start CHK. Start engine button. Press.
Here we go. Start engines.
Starting engine 2.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 row 1 column 2. And Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
Once we get in the air, I'm going to get a hold of a couple people and see if they want to come up on the server.
Engine number 2 hydraulic pump
And
low
we're
pressure
going to talk about V-Pilot. Going to give you guys, some people wanted some tips on that, and I've not done a V-Pilot thing for a
Engine
while,
number 2
so
valve light
we'll
closed.
do
Engine
it
number 2 star valve
tonight.
light closed. Engine number 2 wheel valve light in transit. Engine number 2 star valve light in transit. Number 2 star engaged. Number 2 wheel valve open. Engine number 2 wheel valve light closed. Engine number 2 star valve
But
light
let's
closed.
get in the air first.
Number 2 generator active.
Then I'll get a
Number two
hold
engine
of Josh and Brandon, see if they want to come up. Matter of fact, when we're starting engines, y'all stand by. Let me see if I can send a message.
Number 2 starter off. Ride number 2 light off. Engine number 2 auto.
Pushback complete. Parking brake
Engine
set.
2 cutout. Starting engine 1.
Engine number 1 GRP. Engine number 1 hydraulic pump low pressure light off. 50 on. Flight recorder light on. Captain's 50 light off. Left elevator 50 light off. Left alpha main light off. Left temp probe light off. F slash OPOP light off. Right elevator 50 light off. Right alpha main light off. O 50 light off. O 50 light off. Engine number 1 fuel valve light closed. Engine number 1 star valve light closed. Engine number 1 fuel valve light in transit. Engine number 1 star valve light in transit. Engine number 1 fuel valve light closed. Engine number 1 star valve light closed. Number 1 star engaged. Number 1 fuel valve open. Number 1 generator active. Number 1 ignition on. Number 1 starter off.
All right, I just
Right number
sent
one
them a message.
number
Let's
one
see if they come on.
Engine 1 cutout.
I'll go ahead and get on the server here while
Folder
we're
unit
waiting
stop
on
sleep.
that.
Turtle beach split. Switch chat tape. Talk in flight. Team viewer 55. Team talk 5 left. App start cursor. Normal cursor. Explorer. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. Forms main row 1 column 3. Act RT elect 1 slash V pilot road star on type FSUIP team talk 5 Microsoft Flight Simulator.
All engines stable.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. 0 knots ground speed.
Check the door.
Parking brake on. Parking brake light on.
Brake set.
Team talk 5 classic 3.5.6.301. Team talk 5 classic 3.5. Navigation off point. Beacon off. Host manager dialog default. 5 pilots. DVI pilots team talk 5 classic. Level 1 John. Left reach. Left back auto. Beginner pilot. John level 1. Level 0 DVI. Level 1 John. Beginner pilots. Flight sim training. Microsoft 2020. Not flight sim related. The pilot lounge. 0 level 1. Dual. App root off. Left channel root. Join channel the pilot lounge. Expanded. 0 items. The pilot lounge. 1 engine. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1 column 2 net. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. Taxi light on. Taxi on point. Dome lights in.
Alright, we're just doing our after
Left FMC light on.
start
Right FMC light on.
flow here.
Transponder mode off. Transponder mode XPNDR. Transponder mode top. Left to transit light on. Transponder mode top slash RA. Left to transit light off. Left extended light on. Flex 10 point. Twenty-one 48.
Alright.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8. The pilot lounge team talk. Forms main row 1 column 3. Flows and checklist groupings. Free FLT after FL flow. Before taxi flow. Before CH messages. After start completed.
Alright, after start flow is completed, so let's go
After start flow
ahead
button. Taxi CH KLST button.
and do our taxi checklist.
Taxi
here.
checklist.
Microsoft Flight Simulator
Generators.
1.3.8.01 column
On.
2.
Probe E.
On.
Anti-ice.
Microsoft Flight Simulator
Set.
Isolation valve.
Auto.
Engine start switches.
Well, we'll do it again. Hold
Indiana,
on.
United States, 4.6 nautical miles.
Engine start switches.
Continuous.
Recall.
Check.
Auto brakes.
RTO.
Flight control.
We're going to do that checklist over
Full left.
because it's not fully completed.
Full
I don't
right.
know why it does that.
Full back. Full forward.
Check.
Ground equipment.
Clear.
Checklist complete.
Forms.main row 1 column 2. Close and checklist proven. Type CCH KLST. After start flow button. Rest.
We're going to do that again.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. Engine number 1 con. Engine number 1 auto.
I didn't say here it say engine number 2.
Right FMC light off. Right FMC light off.
though.
CDU number 1 message light off. CDU number 2 message light off.
We'll see what happens here. Sometimes first officer does these little weird things, and I don't know why it does it.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3. Forms.main row 1 column 2. Forms.main row 1 column 2. Close and checklist proven. Free up flow. Before taxi flow. Before start. See message after start completed. Land.
All right, let's try
CCH
again.
KLST button. Rest.
I don't think it did it right.
Taxi checklist. Generators.
On.
On.
Probe E.
On.
Probe heat's on.
Anti-ice.
Anti-ice is set.
Isolation valve.
Auto.
Auto.
Engine start switches.
See, engine start switches.
Before
So
CCH. Type CCH KLST button. Rest.
let's clear
After
that
start flow button.
and
Rest.
do it again.
Random log content. After start. Free up flow. Before taxi flow. Before CH message. Taxi clearance. Messages. Taxi clearance. MSTCL. MSTCLR. Land. MSTCLR. Land. MSTCLR. Taxi messages. Taxi clearance. Messages. Taxi clearance. MSTCLR. MSTCLR. Taxi clearance. Messages. CHKL. Before start. Before 2. Flow. Set interior lights. Before start. Before 2. Set interior lights. Flow. Set interior lights. Random left. Set flaps. Set interior lights. Set flaps. Before start. Before 2. CHKL. Messages. Taxi clearance. Messages. Taxi clearance. MSTCLR. Land. WASM interface. Lobby version 1. Land. MSTCLR. Taxi
let's
clearance.
see.
Messages. Before start. Before 2. Set copy left. WASM interface. Lobby. Land. After start completed. Taxi CHKLST button.
Let's try it again.
Rest.
Sometimes
Sublock
first
onto the
officer
checklist.
can be stupid, so
Generators.
On.
Probe E.
let me get through
On.
this and then we'll
Anti-ice.
get into the
Set.
Isolation valve.
Auto.
Engine start
conversation here.
switches.
Continuous.
There we
Recall.
go.
Check.
Auto brakes.
RTO.
Flight control.
That's just first officer
left
for
hand,
you
top left
sometimes.
Full
So
right.
let me get through this checklist real quick, and before
back.
we even take off, we're going to talk about V-Pilot.
Full forward.
Check.
That's
Ground
good.
equipment.
Clear.
Checklist complete.
Good. All right. So we're going to sit right here for a few minutes.
Forms.main. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.01 column 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
Taxiway of kind.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Hold on. Let's do this.
Start window. Pin title list.
Because what I don't want to do is hold up other traffic, so we better get to the runway, at least get in the air here.
Start list. Toggle start navigation menu items to left. User account for errands.
So just bear with me 1 second.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
To Brandon and Josh. Y'all just hold on 1 minute.
Folder view list. Team talk 5. Start window. Search window. Search.
Come
Mixer.
on.
Sound mixer option. Test match.
Here we go. Hold on, guys. That'll go away in a minute. Can you guys hear
Microsoft
me?
Flight Simulator 1.33.8.01 column 2.
Brandon, Josh?
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Settings 01 column 2.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we can
Settings.
definitely
75
hear
easy
you.
tool tip. Settings window. Adjust the master output volumes.
Alright, hold on 1 minute. Just bear with me.
100 tool tip.
Come on.
Settings. List system sounds proven. New app button.
Oh, here we
System sounds
go.
1 of.
I just want to adjust
New
my,
app tool tip. Forms.main proven. New app button.
come on. NVDA's being
Forms.main 3 of 13.
stupid.
New app. Line 1. Virtual.
Let's see.
Line 1. Virtual audio.
No, I don't
New app
want
tooltip.
line 1. Hold on, guys.
Output combo box meters. Razor KLAX. Collapsed.
I love when NVDA
Input
has a
combo box,
mind of its own. It's kind of annoying, but
List line 1. Virtual audio cable. Line 1. Virtual.
come on, I don't want
Adjust the output
that.
volume slider 100. New
I
app
don't
tooltip.
want that.
100 tooltip. Reset to the Microsoft recommended default point. Help proving. Help link.
Let's see.
Give feedback proving. Give feedback link.
NVDA is doing this little.
New master
I
volume
don't
one.
want to read
Adjust the master
stuff
volume.
when you want me to
New master
read,
volume
so hold on one second.
100 tooltip.
Come on, read it.
List line 1. Virtual audio cable.
Read
Line 2.
it.
Virtual audio cable.
Thank you. Read it.
Line 3. Virtual.
Thank you. Read it.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 7.
There, finally. Now let me
Microsoft Flight
turn this
Simulator
down a
button.
little bit.
Adjust the output volume
I
slider.
just want to
New app tooltip.
turn down the sim a little bit so you guys can be
30.
heard. Because otherwise
31,
you all is
30,
going to be very
28,
low, and I don't
27.
want to.
23. 22. 21. 20.
There. I got the plane at 20%. That's plenty loud
Settings.
enough. Alright.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.
And I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.
This is a
Forms that may go on
topic
column two.
that, honestly, none of us has talked about
Close the
for a
text.
while, to be honest. So,
Before the CHKLST button. Microsoft Flight Simulator
Robert wanted
Microsoft
us to
Flight Simulator.
talk about it, and then I had another.
1.33.8.0.
There was 3 people together. I forget who the other 2 was.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
Alright, so let's.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. Forms that may go on. The round team top 5
So I'm
select
going to do
X1
this
7 row 1
just
column 4.
because
These
I
are row
don't
2
want to
column 1.
hold people up,
vPilot.
but I don't
App
want
control.
to take off yet. So what I'm
vPilot.
going to do, I'm going to exit vPilot
Confirm exit dialog.
while
Exit
we're
to the network.
doing all
Welcome
this,
mode %. Yes, but mode
because
+Y.
the last thing you want to do is be one of them people that sits on the
Microsoft Flight
taxiway or
Simulator.
you're in the way of somebody else. I wouldn't appreciate it, and I daggone know that, you know, if we was about to do a flight, we wouldn't be very happy with somebody sitting in the way where we couldn't, you know, move to the runway by the rules, because
Oh yeah, I've had a few of those,
I
unfortunately.
mean, technically we can just jump because we have to anyways, but if we was going to use AI in taxi and the plane was in the way, AI is not going to go around them. It's not going to be like, okay, we'll just go off the taxiway and go around. No, it's going to wait until that plane's out of the way. You know, it tries to follow the rules just like it's if it was me or you actually driving, you know, taxi into the runway. So, so I got a list of things here. We'll start at it, and then all 3 of us will just kind of talk about this stuff. Because we got one person that's new, that's not ever been on vPilot, and I think the other guy, he's sighted, but he's not been on vPilot for a while, probably 5 years. So things has changed probably since the last time he was on. And then of course, it was funny because I was talking to my pilot friend George, and he was like, yeah, I've not been on vPilot for a while neither. I said, no, but you're on the real deal every day, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, and the thing is, let's just talk about the rules kind of first. The rules that we got to go by, they try to really match it to the real world. So, what I mean by that is, you know, if you're sitting at the gate and you're ready to move to the, you know, you're ready to get clearance and do your pushback and all that, there's rules you gotta follow. You gotta get clearance to even, you know, you can't just start taxiing to the runway or reposition in our case without talking to somebody first. So with that said, what is that rule that we have to follow, Josh? What is it that we do before we start moving to the runway? Now, I'm going to let you do this and that we were all involved. Now, I'm not talking about pushback, and we need to talk about that a little bit too, because there's different rules in different places when it comes to pushback too. So, let's just start with the rule of going to the runway, what we got to do before we go to a runway. Are you with us, Josh? Brandon, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so maybe Josh is having mic problems, maybe? Because I'm not hearing him. Are you?
No, I'm not.
All right, well, we'll give him the next one then. Brandon, you go ahead and describe, answer what Josh was going to.
So basically, before you move to the runway, assuming you've got your IFR clearance, you've got to let the controllers know you're ready to reposition to the runway.
Well, but I'm talking about that clearance that they got to request.
Yeah, you got to request an IFR or an instrument flight rules departure from the controllers on the ground. And if you don't have any on ground, you go to tower.
Yes, and when do they got to request that, Brandon?
They got to request that.
I guess what I'm wanting them to know is the location that they're at. When and where are they requesting it from?
You're requesting it when you're at the gate. To
exactly.
Get clearance to go to the next airport.
Yes. And that's, we're talking about things being realistic. That's a real thing. That's not, it's just like that when you're in a plane, in a real plane, and you're ready to move back from the gate and start your taxiing and all that. You have got to have clearance before you just start doing whatever you want to do. That's why there is taxiing, because you got to follow where they tell you. They'll tell you where to taxi. They'll let you know where you're at, where you're going, when to go. And if you don't follow that rule, I promise you, somebody's going to contact you very quickly. And if you don't respond to that request, you're done. You will get in trouble. 100%. In the real world, you're going to get a phone number if you're causing a problem like that.
Take a number.
And let me tell you what, you don't want a number. You never want to hear take a number. You never want to hear that.
No.
Because that means you might not be losing your license, but you are about to deal with people you don't want to deal with.
You're about to deal with some high-level aviation officials, and that's not going to be good.
And I have seen it many times. Many times, watching videos, and, people sometimes assume they can do stuff that they're not allowed to do. I remember one time when I was with George, there was a guy coming into LAX, and he was in a no-fly zone because he was a small plane flying in basically in newbie terms, he was a small plane flying in the big plane area. And
oh boy,
you don't
do that.
You cannot be in the pathway of these big jets. They have priority. And I've even seen it on YouTube where a guy thought, assumed that he had priority over the big ones. No, you don't, because think about it, folks.
You don't.
You're in a little bitty Cessna and you got a 777 coming in. Which one's going to move a lot quicker? Which one it can move out of the way and be out of the way and shouldn't be in the way is a small guy. The small guy should not be anywhere in that path where he's not supposed to be.
Nope.
And unfortunately, there's even been crashes because of this. These simple things that I don't understand why pilots, how they even confuse where they're supposed to be. I don't know, but just...
You know, and I got to bring up another thing. Do you remember the close calls that we've had this, I think it was this year, with the two jets? I think one was at Newark, because one of them was taxiing and the other one didn't get clearance to taxi, and they were on the same path to the runway and nearly ran into each other.
Yeah. And it's happened a lot, more than what...
Mm-hmm.
What? Sorry, my dog is... What is it? Stay there. No. You need potty? Alright. Let her out while we're doing this. Come here. Stay there. Come here. Stay. I need to fix this. Stay. I'm just fixing her.
She's definitely good at staying.
I hate these one collars because they're kind of a pain in the butt to tighten up. Oh, wrong way. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second, you guys. There we go. Okay, go potty. Go pee pee. No. Hold on, guys. No. Go potty. Stubborn dog. But, realistically, these are rules that pilots sometimes make mistakes, and then other times it's like they shouldn't. So now, given clearance, Brandon, talk about some of the other things when it comes to communications, some of the other things that they need to be communicating while either on the ground.
So, if you get instructions from ATC, especially when you get them from your IFR clearance, you definitely read them back to them to make sure that you acknowledge the instructions. And when you get that and you're ready to go to the runway, tell them you need to reposition in our case. And if they say good, go ahead, then you can reposition and get your flaps and everything adjusted, and then they'll tell you ready. You just say ready for takeoff. They'll tell you you're clear, and then you can.
One thing, Brandon,
and you're cutting out you're cutting out a bit.
I shouldn't be now.
Yeah, they're better now.
The one thing that he's not mentioned, which is important, is read back. And I was kind of putting you to the test, and you completely missed it.
No, I said that. I said it. I said read back.
Well, but explain to them what read back is what I'm saying. Like,
read back is basically repeating the instructions that you're given.
Yeah, and here is something that people seem to amaze me by. They think if you don't read it back the right way the first time, then you don't know what you're doing, or these silly things.
Yeah.
And listen, no one's perfect. No one's perfect. If you got to write it down, write it down. And if you got to ask them again, hey, can I get that? Can I get that again? The controller should not be, and usually are not going to give you a problem by reading it back to you again. So,
Yeah.
and then what about some of the stuff when in the air, Brandon? Cover some of that for us.
So, when you're in the air, definitely be communicating. I'd say after takeoff, tell them you've cleared the runway. When they give you those instructions for heading changes, read those back to them and make your heading changes.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you're on Unicom, I would definitely communicate in the air too, and let people know what your altitude is and
yeah, and
where
that's
you're headed.
That's the next thing I wanted to talk about, guys, was Unicom, because I have my own personal view on this, and some people follow that and agree to that. Some people don't. I think now, especially as being a part of the BVI pilot community, we are visually impaired. Some are completely blind, and a lot of us can't see, the traffic out there. Now, in certain conditions, I can. It depends on location, really, and depends on other things like brightness and all this. But because of that, and Brandon can tell you, I am very straightforward on letting pilots know where I'm at, where I'm going. And I don't just mean saying, BVI 900 Delta Whiskey, going to start descent, and then shut up. No, I'm going to tell them exactly where I'm at, and I'm going to report that altitude about every 3,000 or 4,000 feet as I'm coming in. Because here's the thing, you never know who might be out there. There could be someone taking off while you're, coming in to land, and you all be on the same altitude. So, by communicating, you're letting that other pilot know that you're there, and hopefully, knock on wood, that they will see you and be able to, either go to a lower altitude or go to a higher altitude or change headings altogether. But it's very important, even on Unicom, when you're going from the taxiway to the runway, I usually will say, actually I always say, BVI 900 Delta Whiskey, going to be repositioning to to runway, 23 right. Please announce if there's any traffic coming in or on runway. And I do that because I don't want to ruin somebody's flight. Because some of these people that get on V-Pilot, believe it or not, are on their training. They're on their practicing. They're on their,
Yep.
It's not necessarily always just for fun. And so I would hate to ruin somebody's, training or a long flight. Maybe someone just got done doing a 12-hour flight. They're coming in to land, and I take off, don't report anything, and I crash into them. Now, is it going to hurt me? No, because if I don't got damage on, it's not going to hurt me. But if they got damage on, guess what?
It'll hurt them.
You've just ruined their whole flight. Because they're not going to land after that. They're going to be on the ground. It's going to crash, and Sim's going to start over. So that's why I always say it's so important to announce. Because
I've even had pilots, when I come in for landing, they've asked me, they're like, hey, I'm headed to runway 23 right, is it safe for me to land? And I'll tell them, no, I'm almost down to the runway. If you're not that close, if you can do a go-around, I'll let you know when I'm on the runway. And that's another thing you might want to let them know, is when you're clear of the runway so they can land themselves.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, on the beta version of TFM, I don't know if this was on the other one or not, let bracket C will tell you what frequencies your communicators are tuned into.
Yeah, I don't think it did. That'll be a nice feature when I start using it again, because that'll help me out a lot, actually.
Folder view list. Team.
And before I forget,
Topic flight monitor 6174.
we better load
FS
FS
FSD
Airlines
64.
because,
Flight simulator files. Flight simulator first. FS Tram Senior Assembly. FS Airlines 1374.
you know, me and Brandon used to be very prone at
Context menu. Open file location. Run as administrator. Troubleshoot command. Run as administrator.
to load FS Airlines. And we're like, oh, yeah, I took off, but oh crap.
Start tooltip.
I gotta
Folder
say,
view list.
the
FS Airlines
funniest
1374.
story about that was I did
Microsoft
that
Flight Simulator.
3
Forms main
times,
pilot
and
lounge.
I
FRT
told
like
you
start dial
don't
FS
forget to
console.
load
FS
FS
Airlines column
Airlines.
7.
You turned around and did the
Login button.
exact same thing
Twice
I
in a
did.
row.
Selected 11 star. Login button.
Twice in a row.
Edit selected when flight numbers.
After I
Edit protected
said,
login button. Press.
be
Twice,
sure and load
guys.
FS
FS Airlines.
Airlines.
Total fuel 33,002.
Not once,
Button. X button. Home button. Options. Flight information button.
twice.
Button. X button. Home button. Options. Fly button. Press.
Alright, let's hit fly.
Button. X button. Exit button. Back. Fuel up. Press. FS Airlines.
Go up.
Button.
There we go.
Button. X button. Fly button. Press.
And fly. Okay.
FS Airlines.
So we got that where it needs to be.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
And now we're going to reposition to the runway. Again, I'm not on VPilot because I didn't want to try to, you know, not while doing this. Like if I wasn't doing, you know, a review or something,
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
then I'd just go ahead and
Forms.main
have VPilot on it.
Yeah.
Star dial book pad. FSUIPC 7. Jump to runway row 2 column 3.
Alright,
FS Airlines
so
tooltip.
runway.
Jump to runway dialog. Run. Airport code
And on the beta version, by the way, the one being worked on,
Kind. E.
to set your trim to go up and down with it, it is your dash button and your plus button. It's no longer D or U. That's why my trim wouldn't go down before, and I figured it out.
Oh.
E. Land. 6
Yeah.
runway point.
I'm like,
05
okay,
05R. Not selected. Not selected. 23L. Not selected. 23R.
I think we're going to be
Microsoft Flight
taking
Simulator.
off
Forms.main row 1 column 3.
23
Runway
right.
team top.
Let me
XRT
make
left 1
sure.
Star dial book pad row 2 column 2. Star dial book pad. Land. Kind slash 23R and 04.
Yes, we are.
Jump to runway row 1 column 2. Jump to runway dialog. 23R.
Okay, so we're good there.
Star dial book pad. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 row 1 column 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
Approaching runway 23 right on runway 23 right.
0 knots ground speed.
Alright, we're on the
Runway
runway,
23R kind slash 11,000
23
run
right,
Forms.main row 1 column 3.
and
FS
we'll
Airlines
do
tooltip.
our,
Edit red only selected. Pre-flight flow. Flows and checklist grouping. Pre-FLT flow button. Pre-FLT CHKLS. Before start flow. Before start CH. Start engines button. After start flow. Taxi CHKLS. Before the CHKLST button.
before
Press.
takeoff.
Before takeoff checklist.
Microsoft Flight Simulator
Flaps.
1.33.8.0 row 1 column 2.
Stabilization trim.
Set.
Checklist
Microsoft Flight
complete.
Simulator 1.33.8.
I was going to go
Flight
over
attendants prepare
transitions
for
and
takeoff.
stuff, but we'll do that next
Left
time
landing
because
light on.
that's just
Landing
too
on point.
much
Left
and
landing light on.
more.
Right landing light on. Left
There
runway
we
turn
go.
off. 250 at 6 knots point.
I
Plus
don't
0 knots point.
want
Right navigation off point. Position 82 degrees.
82 degrees in
Navigation off point.
Indianapolis.
250 at 6 knots point. Plus 0 knots point.
Wind is 250 at 6
Wind
knots.
250 at 6 knots point. Plus 0 knots point.
That ain't too bad.
It's
And
not bad.
Num lock off. Num lock on.
by the way, Brandon, now they have in pmdg, it's not hard to set your brake and release it. They got a quick release where you just hold down the period, hit the control key,
Parking brake on. Parking brake off.
and it
Parking
turns
brake
it off. It don't go by holding it down a
Wow.
certain amount of time.
Retrim disabled point. Add down 1.
Does that work
Add to
both
both disabled
ways,
points.
or just
Add to both
taking
disabled
the brakes off?
No, putting them on or taking them off. Now it's not. They got the
Ah.
realistic,
Auto throttle turbos on.
and then they got the
Left master caution light on. Right master.
Thrust set.
Check.
quick.
12 knots ground speed. Left master caution light off. Right master caution
Yes,
light
I'll
off. Low
have
warning
to
light off.
turn mine on to
24
quick, 'cause
knots.
It won't be on that by default.
Right.
40 knots.
Speed alive.
Check.
Well, that's
57 knots.
Here we go, folks. Hopefully,
71 knots.
80
Microsoft
knots.
don't do
Check.
what it did last night.
87 knots.
nice. Yeah.
98
Folks, if y'all
knots.
don't know the story, Johnny and I
Next
seem
point.
to be
109
the
knots.
exclusive honorary members of the Bad Weather
121
Club
knots.
when it comes to flight simming.
133
I don't know
knots.
what it is.
Down 1.
144 knots.
Rotate.
150
D2.
knots.
Up 1. Up 3.
160 knots.
Up 11. Auto brake. Up 10.
NAV1
Positive
has
rate.
localizer.
Oh, looks like
Localizer
we're
is
having a
alive.
good takeoff.
Runway heading 145.
Up 12. Up 13.
Airborne.
Up 14.
169 knots.
Up right 4. Up 17. Up 18. Right flight director. Up 19.
Nav.
Add to both disabled point. LNAV light on.
Autopilot.
CMDA light on.
LNAV
Change light
on.
on. Auto pitch
Command
auto
A
CDU
on.
number.
Flaps up.
There we go.
CDU number 1.
Stand by 1
MCL
second.
dialog out. Intervene button. VNAV toggle button. Press alt.
VNAV
Next 1
on.
point. Speed intervene off. MCP under speed warning. Flex extended light off. Speed enter VNAV light off. Auto pitch off. Not pressed. Flex 1. Level change toggle. VNAV toggle. Amber command A disengage light on. Amber command D disengage light on. Flex extended light on. Press. Not pressed. Flex 0.
Buffet alert.
Microsoft Flight Simulator. Forms main row 1 console. Close the check is
Stand
proven.
by.
Enter red only selected before takeoff. Check.
Acceleration altitude.
Close the check is proven after takeoff. CH pressed.
After
MCP
takeoff
row 1 column 2.
checklist.
MCP altitude light off.
Engine
VNAV toggle.
On.
Gear down point
Pass.
on.
Auto.
Flex
Landing
extended light
gear.
off.
Up and off.
Gear level.
Flaps.
178
Up, no
indicated.
lights.
Com 1 100.
Checklist
182
complete.
knots indicated. Gear down point on. Engine number 1 auto. Engine number 1 DR 185. Engine MCP altitude. Forms main row. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1 column 3. Auto break off.
Gear up.
Microsoft Flight
Gear
Simulator
down.
1.33.8. Gear down point on.
There we go.
Most gear transit. MCP altitude row 1 column 2.
Glide slope is alive. NAV1 has localizer. Localizer is alive.
Come on.
Runway heading 145. NAV1 has glide slope.
Level change. VNAV toggle button. Not press alt plus E. Press. Not press. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1. Forms main row 1 column 3. Star title book at row 1. The pilot lounge team talk. At RT Lex 1/7 row 2 column 2.
Alright, hold on, folks.
MCP altitude row 1 column 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1 column 3. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. LNAV light off.
LNAV
Amber
off.
light off.
There we go. LNAV is on.
At RT Lex 1/7 row 1 column 2. MCP altitude row 1 column 3.
I'm just trying to get my
MCP
VNAV.
altitude. VNAV toggle button. Not press alt plus E. Press. Not press. Speed enter
VNAV
VNAV. MCP
off.
under speed warning off. VNAV toggle button. Press alt plus E. Not press. Press. Speed enter VNAV. VNAV light off. Auto pitch off. Not press. Amber command. Level change toggle button. VNAV toggle button. Not press alt plus E. Amber command A disengage light on. Amber command D disengage light on.
Why is it not?
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. At RT Lex 1/7 row 1 column 3.
My
Amber command A disengage
VNAV
light off.
ain't wanting to,
Amber command A disengage. Amber command A disengage. Amber command A disengage light off. Amber command D disengage light off. Amber command A disengage. Amber command A disengage light on. Amber command D disengage light on. Amber command A disengage light off. Amber command. MCP altitude row 1. Microsoft Flight Simulator
I don't know what's
1.33.8.0
going
1 column 3.
on here. Hold
Amber
on.
command A disengage. Microsoft Flight. Amber command A disengage. Amber command A disengage light off. Amber command D disengage light off. At RT Lex 1 MCP altitude row 1 column 3. MCP altitude dialog. Gear down point dot.
Oh, no one. Why is it?
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1 column 2. Flex 0 point. Gear down point dot.
Gear up. Gear down. Gear up.
Gear lever up. No
Gear
gear
down.
transit light on. No
Gear
gear
up.
transit light on. Right gear transit light on. No. Gear motion point dot. Gear lever down.
There we go.
MCP
Let's
speed warning
going
off.
up.
Gear motion point dot.
Gear down.
MCP altitude row 1 column 2. Left gear light on. Right gear light on. MCP altitude dialog altitude. VNAV toggle button.
VNAV off.
VNAV light on. Press. Microsoft Flight Simulator.
I'm still here, Brand.
Gear down point dot.
Come on.
Gear up. Gear down. Gear up.
Gear motion point dot.
There we go. Gears going up. I
MCP
don't know
altitude
why
row 1
it's
column 2.
being stupid here.
MCP
VNAV
altitude
is
dialog
not
altitude. VNAV toggle button. Press
wanting
alt plus E. FS airline selected.
to. Okay, VNAV is on
Gear
now.
point
My
dot. Gear transit light on.
gosh.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
Wow, it was being temperamental tonight.
At RT Lex 1/7 row 1 column 2.
It was, yes.
That's insane.
Explorer. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 row 1. Microsoft Flight Simulator 3514 feet per minute point. 6192 feet.
If anybody
216
wants to
indicated.
send any rain here to Texas and some cooler air, please feel
At
free to
RT
do
Lex
so.
1/7 row 1
It's
column 2.
been
At RT Lex 1/7 row 1 column 2.
sweltering hot, and it's miserable here.
At RT hit rip mode plus hot. FMC display as red only plus home 5. At RT Lex 251 TTH 311 slash. At RT Lex 1/7 CPU number 1 execute key available. CPU number 2 execute key available. CPU number 1 execute key.
There we go.
MODRT 256 degrees 32.6 nm. At RT 256 degrees 32.3 nm. At RT 256 degrees 32.2 nm.
256.
Heading 278. Heading 278. At RT 256 degrees 32.0 nm. At RT 256 degrees 31.7 nm.
Come
At
on.
RT 256 degrees 31.5 nm.
Okay, we're
At
good.
RT 256 degrees 31.3 nm.
It's just being.
At RT 256 degrees 31.2 nm. Left FMC light.
Unable 280 KTS at N jail.
At RT Lex 256 degrees 30.9 nm.
31.9.
At RT 256 degrees 30.6 nm. At RT 256 degrees 30.4 nm.
Okay, we're on track.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 1 column 2.
For some reason there for a minute it was my VNAV light wasn't wanting to come on. I'm like, come on now.
0 point dot.
Gears up.
Flex 0 point.
Flaps are good.
At RT Lex 1 forms main row 1 column 3.
But, you know, it's all part of simming, right?
Close object is proven after
We have
takeoff.
our,
THKLST button. FS airline full
I'm
tip.
going to do
Press.
this after takeoff just
After
to make
takeoff
sure.
checklist.
I know I did it, but
Engine bleed.
we was
On.
having problems there
Pass.
on takeoff.
Landing gear.
Up and
Gear lever
off.
off.
Flaps.
Up no lights.
There
Checklist
we go.
complete.
Okay, we're good. So,
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.01 column 2. Engine number 1. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. Engine 0 point dot. Auto brake disarm. Auto brake off. Auto brake RTO. 10,000 feet point.
Passing 10,000 feet.
214 knots indicated. Left
Turn
retractable. Left retractable
14
landing. 1427
knots.
feet per minute point. Right retractable land. 216 knots indicated. Landing off point. Left. 218 knots indicated. Taxi off point. 219 knots indicated. Wind lights off. 220 knots indicated.
there
Lower
we
lights off.
go.
Lower
Now our
lights
speed's getting up there. Sorry about that, Brandon. I was having some few little the VNAV button kept clicking off on me. I'd click
I
it and it would
understand.
shut
That's
back
all part
off.
of saying.
But yeah, sometimes, you know, at least we're in the
Sometimes you
air. We
have
took
little
off, so.
mishaps. I'm gonna have some of those days, I'm sure.
Oh, you will. You will. But you know what? We all have them. And, you know, the
Yep.
other thing to remember,
Distance to descent 1500/0:6127.
so we
Distance
got,
to descent 1500/0:6550. Distance to descent 1500/0:6719.
come on.
Distance to descent 1500/0:1020. Distance to descent 1500/0:1150. 12,000 feet point.
61150.
Distance to descent 1500/0:1323.
Let me look at my leg page to
Forms
make
main row 1
sure
column 2.
we're
At RT
good
Lex 1
here.
7 row 1 column 3.
That's the next
At
thing.
RT
You
Lex
want to pay
at RT
attention
Lex
to your leg
256 degrees
because
26.4 nm. At RT 256 degrees 26.3 nm.
if you're going the wrong
At
direction,
RT Lex 256 degrees 26.3 nm.
26.3.
At RT Lex 256 degrees 26.3 nm. At RT Lex 1/7 256 degrees 26.4 nm.
Let's,
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.01 column 2. Microsoft.
come on.
LNAV light off. 13,000 feet point.
LNAV on.
Left FMC light off. Right FMC light off.
There we go. LNAV is on. What I was going to say is, you always want to look at your leg page because,
256 degrees 26.6 nm.
like at the top it says
256
256 degrees,
degrees 26 dot 8 nm.
26.8 nm, nautical miles. So the way you'll know that you're on track is refresh with Alt R.
27 dot 1 nm. Dot 27 dot 1 nm. 27 degrees.
And it
27
should
dot 1 nm. 27 degrees.
follow that. You know, the numbers should be going down.
Yeah.
Left FMC light on. Right FMC light on. Left FMC light off. Right. At RT Lex 225 degrees 31.3 nm. At RT Lex 225 degrees 31.3 nm.
Okay, let's
At RT
see.
225 degrees 31.0 nm.
30.0,
At RT 225 degrees 30.8 nm.
30.8,
At RT 225 degrees 30.6 nm.
30.6.
Yeah,
See how
it's
it's going down?
At RT 225 degrees 30.4 nm. 15,000 feet.
30.4.
Yep.
Right FMC light on. CD
Unable
1 CD
280 kts at
Oh yeah, it looks
NJL.
like you're on track.
224 knots indicated. 225 knots indicated.
Yeah, we must have a lot of wind. Let me
Wind
see.
315 to 25 knots point. Just at 0 knots point.
25 knots, but
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33. Forms main row 1 column. Star title book. The title lounge team. FSUI PC 7. At RT Lex 1/7. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.01 column 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. 1706 feet per minute point.
climbing at
1706.
1706.
15,500. 230 knots indicated. 230 knots indicated.
My speed, sometimes if you, here's the thing, you really got to be observed. You know, you got to learn to observe everything too, because sometimes you'll think something's wrong when there's
16,000
not.
feet point.
For example,
225 knots indicated.
I'm only going 225 knots. Now, you would think, man, something's wrong. Or,
That's what I would think at first.
but
221 knots indicated.
there's not. It's wind. The wind
313 to 27 knots point. Just at 0 knots
is
point.
313 at 27
Wind
knots.
313 to 27 knots point. Just at heading 58.
So,
Wind 313 to 28 knots point. Just at 0 knots point.
if you're fighting wind on climb,
1276 feet per minute point.
you know,
222 knots indicated.
that can give you problems. I do want to make sure VNAV didn't
MCP
kick off on me,
VNAV
so
toggle
we'll
button plus
make,
E. FSR
yeah.
included.
See, VNAV is
Enter V
pressed.
button plus I. VNAV toggle. Level change toggle button. Press Alt plus L. Hold toggle button. Press Alt plus A.
I'm definitely
Enter
gonna
V
like
button plus I.
that feature
VNAV toggle button.
where
Press
you
Alt plus
can
E.
definitely tell when they're activated or
See, it
not.
said
That's gonna be
VNAV
really
pressed.
Enter V button. VNAV toggle button. Press Alt plus E.
It says VNAV
Which means it's
toggled.
on.
Enter V button plus VNAV toggle button. Press Alt plus E.
VNAV toggle button pressed, which means it's on. Exactly.
Transition altitude.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.
Check.
And then I can do left bracket shift H, and I can look at that too. So let's
MCP
look
dialog.
at it.
Edit input. Alt plus E. Selected 229. Edit select toggle button. LNAV toggle button. Press Alt plus L.
LNAV's not
18,000
toggled,
point.
which
Edit input. Alt plus E. Selected 229. LNAV toggle button. Press Alt plus L. Edit input. Alt plus E. Selected 220. Edit select toggle button. Press Alt plus H.
I thought it's supposed to be.
Heading input L nav toggle button not press Alt plus L. Press not pressed. L nav light off.
LNAV
Press.
on.
L nav light off. Not pressed. Left FMC light off. Right FMC light off.
There we go.
Heading input L nav toggle button not press Alt plus L.
Well, I thought.
Pressed. Not pressed. L nav light off. Press. L nav light off. Left FMC light on. Right FMC light on. Not pressed. Left FMC light off. Right FMC light
Alright,
off.
so which means I gotta get.
Heading select toggle button not press Alt plus H. Pressed. Not pressed.
Heading select
Heading select light on.
on.
Pressed. Heading input L plus E selected 229. Pittsburgh, Indiana, United States.
I'm gonna get in the right heading here.
Microsoft Flight
Hold
Simulator.
on.
At RTE Lex 1/701 column 3.
Sometimes it'll do that too, and I'll
At RTE
explain that in a minute.
224 degrees 32.7 nm.
224.
MCP heading row 1 column 2. MCP heading light off. Heading input L plus E selected 229. 2 unselected. 224.
Alright, so let's get lined up, and then when you get lined up with a waypoint,
At RTE Lex 1/701 column 2.
and I think this might be a bug because I did activate LNAV, and sometimes it won't if you're not on the course,
At RTE
but
Lex 224 degrees 33.2 nm.
224, let's see.
At RTE 224 degrees 33.4 nm. At RTE Lex 224 degrees 33.5 nm.
33.5.
At RTE 224 degrees 33.5 nm. 224 degrees 33.6 nm. At RTE Lex 224 degrees 33.6 nm. Heading 171. Heading 171. Heading 173. Heading 174. Heading 175.
See, it's turning
Heading
toward
177. Heading 179.
the new heading I
Heading
put
108.
in, and then once it lines up with that heading, you activate the LNAV again,
At
and
RTE
it
Lex
should go on.
224 degrees 33.9 nm.
224.
Oh, so you
At
don't
RTE
have to wait till it gets
224
within 10 miles of the waypoint anymore?
It seems like you don't, because I'm
224 degrees 34.0 nm.
34.0,
At RTE 224 degrees 34.1 nm.
but
At RTE
again,
224 degrees 34.1 nm.
sometimes you do. It just depends, I think.
1 TTH 310/L252. 20,401 TASL point. At RT 224 degrees 34.1. At RT 224 degrees 32.6 nm. Heading 214.
So it's
Heading
moving
215.
to that heading I
Heading
put
218.
in,
At RT 224 degrees 32.
224,
At RT Lex 1/224 degrees 32.7 nm.
and we'll put it in here in a minute.
At
We'll
RT
hit
Lex
LNAV,
224 degrees 32.8 nm.
32.8.
At RT 224 degrees 32.8 nm. At RT 224 degrees 32.8 nm. At RT 224 degrees 32.8 nm.
Come on.
Heading 238. At RT 224 degrees 32.9 nm. Heading 245. MCP heading row 1 column 2. MCP heading dial. At RT Lex Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 row 1 column 3.
Come on.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3. Left
LNAV
FMC light
on.
on. Right FMC light on. Left FMC light off. Right FMC light off.
Did it turn on? Let me see.
MCP heading row 1 column 2. MCP heading dial off. Heading input L plus E selected. Heading select toggle button press L nav toggle button not press Alt plus L. Heading select L nav toggle button. L nav light on. Press heading select light off. Left FMC light on. Right FMC light on. Heading input L nav toggle button press Alt plus L. Heading select L nav toggle button press Alt plus L.
There we go. Now it's pressed. So we should be good. See, you gotta watch it. Like I said, if you don't,
At RT Lex 1
it
row 1
can
column
come back and bite you if you're not paying
At RT
attention.
At RT Lex 1 224 degrees 33.0 nm.
Just like one
At
time,
RT
I think it was
Lex-
you or somebody
At RT
else
Lex
flew like
223
miles
degrees 33.0
off
nm.
course.
At RT Lex 223 degrees 32.9 nm.
I mean, it
At RT
can
Lex
definitely,
223 degrees 32.9 nm.
it can definitely get
At
you
RT
off course,
223 degrees
and
32.8 nm.
if it
At RT
does,
223 degrees 32.8 nm. At RT 223 degrees 32.7 nm.
okay, we're on track
1
now.
TTH 310/L263.
Sorry about that, guys,
Microsoft
but
Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 row 1 column
it
3.
happens. It's semi.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
There's times when I've taken off and I thought I was on course, and like Brandon said, the one day I think I went almost an hour. I think it was like 45 minutes out of my way, and that don't it don't sound like much, but it
you were
is.
taking off from. You took off from Los Angeles, and I think if I remember right, you came back and you were out over the ocean
Yeah.
for a little bit of a ways. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and here's the thing, guys, it does make a difference if you only put in enough fuel for one trip and you don't have nothing in reserve.
Yep.
You know, and on a longer trip,
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.
I try not to put too much back in reserve so I can get there and get landed.
Glide slope is alive.
At RT Lex
But,
NAV1
you
has
know, what do you do?
localizer.
RT Lex 1/7.
Localizer is alive. Runway heading 144. NAV1 has glide slope.
And then, on takeoff too, another little tip for you guys, sometimes you'll hear it talk about such and such has glide slope, stuff like that. Don't pay no attention to that stuff because you're taking off It ain't nothing to worry about.
At RTU, 222 degrees 34.1 m. At RTU, 222 degrees 34.3 m.
And I've had it where it says, you know, you have glide slope or whatever. Well, no, you don't, because you're not.
MCP altitude 30,000 feet nav.
You're not landing. So.
FMC speed. 290 knots indicated.
Yeah, it's
290 knots indicated.
really kind of annoying when it does that. I
See,
will say that.
our speed's where it needs to be now because we're not turning no more. It makes it harder to climb when you're still turning. Now that I'm on a direct heading with LNAV, we're good.
You can climb a lot easier.
At RTU, 222 degrees 33.8 m. 1 TTH 310 /L 261. 222 degrees 33.8 m. At RTU, 222 degrees 33.9 m. At RTU, Lex 1/7. 222 degrees 33.9 m. At RTU, 222 degrees 33.9 m. Heading 311. At RTU. Land. At RTU, 221 degrees 33.9 m. 347 knots indicated.
No, we're going way too.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.001.
What is this doing?
Microsoft Flight Sim. 359 knots indicated. 361 knots indicated. 363 knots indicated.
Hold on, you guys. We got. I don't know what in the world is going on here, but.
MCP speed, speed, speed,
This is another thing we gotta deal with sometimes in Sim 2, folks.
Over speed warning. Over speed warning. Over speed warning.
Transition up.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
Over speed warning.
397 knots indicated. 398 knots indicated. 398 knots indicated. Speed break off point.
Over speed warning.
Speed break off point. 400 knots indicated. Speed break off. 400 knots
Had
indicated.
that
Over speed warning.
401 knots indicated. 401 knots indicated.
I don't know why we're over speeding though.
Over
It's the
speed
thing.
warning.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. 403 knots indicated.
Over speed warning.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Command A on.
TMDA light on.
Over speed
Auto
warning.
on. 402 knots indicated.
Over speed warning.
Com 1 119.55. 396 knots indicated.
Okay, we're
394.
slowing
Over
down.
speed
Let me
warning.
turn that off. Hold on.
MCP speed off. Speed rate.
Over
Auto
speed
red.
warning.
Speed rate at red on the plus off. 378 knots indicated. 376 knots indicated.
Okay, we're slowing down.
3816 feet per minute. 14,000 feet. 370 knots indicated. 368 knots indicated. 367 knots indicated. 364 knots indicated. 360 knots indicated. 357 knots indicated.
We're slowing down. I just had I don't know why
347 knots indicated. 344 knots indicated.
the
340
controls
knots
is
indicated.
really
MCP speed warning. 337 knots
finicky.
indicated. 333 knots indicated. 60 to 14 feet per minute. 328 knots indicated. 5948 feet per minute. 323 knots indicated. 16.
Speaking of aviation,
Speed
I
break off
just got a little notification from one of my apps. Somebody in 1990 bought a lifetime pass to,
305 knots
let me
indicated.
see,
304 knots indicated. 303 knots indicated. 2736 feet per minute. 303 knots
a
indicated.
guy named Tom
303 knots
Stupper
indicated.
bought a
303
United
knots indicated.
Airlines
303 knots indicated.
lifetime
16
pass
feet per
for
minute. 17,100.
$290,000 in 1990 and has since flown 23
Microsoft Flight
million
Simulator
miles.
1.33.8.01 column 2.
And he
Microsoft Flight
says
Simulator.
it's the best investment he's ever made in his life.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
Wow.
MCP speed 1 column. At RTE Lex 1/7 column 3.
23 million. Can you imagine flying that much?
At RTE Lex 1/FS Airlines toolkit 310 knots indicated. At RTE Lex 219 degrees 34.9 m.
That's a lot of
At
miles.
RTE Lex 1 219 degrees 34.9 m. At RTE 219 degrees 34.9 m. At RTE
That is.
219 degrees 34.9 m. Heading 296. 312 knots indicated. 312 knots indicated. At RTE 219 degrees 34.8 m. At RTE
Let's see.
219 degrees 34.7 m.
34.7.
At RTE 219 degrees 34.6 m.
Okay, I
One
think
TTH.
we're on track now, but I gotta.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
Like I said, you know, some days in simming, it's
Microsoft Flight Simulator
perfect, nothing goes wrong.
310 knots indicated.
And other days you got one
But-
thing that piles up on top of another.
18,216 feet. 1371 feet per minute point. 1450 feet per minute point.
We're climbing at
1512 feet per minute point.
1512,
309 knots indicated. 1686 feet per minute point.
1686, 17.
1736 feet per minute point.
Okay, it's getting.
1699 feet per minute point. 1611 feet per minute point. 1499 feet per minute point. 308 knots indicated. 1270 feet per minute point. 1194 feet per minute point. Heading 323 feet. MCP heading 224 F.
Make sure heading. Yeah, some days you have good days with stuff, and
Microsoft Flight Simulator
other days
1.33.8.0.
it's just a pain in the butt.
I've had a
Microsoft
few of
Flight
those
Simulator
days.
1.33.8.0. At RTEX1/701 column 2. MCP speed 1 column 3. Cover.
I've even had loss of power during a flight, and it wasn't fun.
311 knots indicated. 311 knots indicated.
Oh, that's no fun at all.
MCP heading
No.
dialog. LNAV toggle button press Alt plus L. FS Airlines tooltip. Heading info Alt plus E selected 200.
Okay.
LNAV toggle button press. Heading select toggle button press Alt plus. Heading info Alt plus E selected 200. LNAV
Alright.
toggle button press Alt plus L.
LNAV is toggled, so I know we're good there.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
Another way you can make sure you can look at your autopilot by doing left bracket shift F.
MCP navigate dialog. FD/R toggle button press. CMD/A toggle button press Alt plus A. CMD/D toggle button press Alt plus E.
Like right now, I can see my command B
Toggle
is
button press Alt
off.
plus E. CMD/A toggle button press Alt plus A.
Command A is on.
FD/R toggle button press Alt plus R. FD/L toggle button press Alt. Disengage R toggle button press Alt plus R. CWS/D toggle. CWS/A toggle button. DOR/lock toggle button press Alt plus E.
Alright, so we're good there.
Microsoft Flight
Let's
Simulator
see.
1.33. 19,898 804 PP per minute point. 309 knots indicated.
We're dealing with
327 knots point gust at 0 knots point.
this
Wind
wind,
327
which
knots
is
point gust.
being
310 knots indicated.
a pain in
0
the
point dot.
butt, man.
Flex 0 point.
Were you flying out of Miami?
310 knots indicated.
No, Indianapolis.
310 knots indicated. Wind 326 knots point gust at 0 knots point.
Wind is
Let me get
26 knots.
Heading 214.
Yeah, I'm flying right into the wind.
Open
310 knots
airport
indicated.
reader.
1280 feet per minute point.
That would be why.
20,449 kA point. At RTEX1/701
Yeah,
column
it looks like I'm flying right into this wind.
Yes.
Earlier today, it was really windy. It was wind gusts up to
Echo.
16.
2. At RTE 217 degrees 20.7 nm.
Get Kilo
At
India
RTE
November
217 degrees
Delta.
20.4. 1 TTH 310/FL 238.
23,000 for that first one.
217 degrees 19.7 nm.
Oh, no wonder, because one,
20,965 kA point.
the airplane's
Microsoft
going
Flight
to
Simulator
follow
1.33
the leg
column two.
page, so I've got 19 miles still to go before I got to be at 23,000. So that's why it's climbing
Yeah.
slow too, because it's going to match what your leg page says.
90 per minute. 21,118
See,
kA
I'm at 21,000
By the way,
feet
that-
right now,
1263 feet per minute point.
so it's only climbing just a little bit at a time.
312 knots indicated.
And what'd you say, Brandon? 312 knots. So we're good, guys.
Distance to descent 1489/0.
I was going to say, if anyone has any of the Amazon devices,
Distance to descent
and if you're
1488/0.
simming, I use this all the time.
Uh-huh.
Use a skill on there called Dave's Airport Reader.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good, yeah, I love that app.
It's a good. I do too. It's a really good skill to have when you are taking off from an airport to get your
Microsoft
wind
Flight Simulator
information.
Yeah, it is. There we go. That was, okay. So, we are, phew. That was, you know, some days you have perfect climbs, and other days you fly and you're working all the way up to cruise. Like, me and Brandon both
Yep.
have been through that, where we're fighting wind.
Oh, have we ever?
Remember, now I'm not talking about the one where everything froze up on me, but remember the other one when we came in and you was behind me. We both were going to KDFW, but we
Yes.
both went through that big storm. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, do I ever? Yes.
It was like a year and a half ago or something, and we
I
didn't.
do remember that.
And,
Man.
and back then, guys, we didn't even really have a lot to go off of on weather. It wasn't accurate at all. And here I am. I'm in front of Brandon by about 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes.
That's
And I remember saying,
Yeah.
Brandon, you know, hopefully, you know, when you get to where I'm at, it'll be cleared up. And guys, I'm telling you,
boy, it wasn't.
there was pockets of air that we would hit, and it would drop us 7,000-8,000 feet within seconds.
In no time. Like
Yes.
I could not believe that. I was like,
Mm-mm.
holy moly. Like it did not it was a rough ride all the way into that
All
area.
the way.
It was
I-
bad.
I
All the
honestly
way.
didn't think me or him would be landing there. I thought we was going to have to go somewhere else, because I was like, man, I don't know. We might need to load in a different
Yeah, we were
flight plan, because
We were considering changing our airport destination that night, that's for sure, because it was just rough going all the way in. I was like, man, if I can get this thing on the ground, we'll be doing all the good in
And
the
you know,
world.
the nice thing is now, back then you could do it. You could load in you could go and create a new flight plan and then program it for your alternate, but it was never an easy thing to do. Now it's a little easier, but you got to have enough fuel. You got to have enough time.
Yep.
To get this new flight plan in, and I remember, I think it was anyway, I went to an airport once. Controller came on and said, we're closed. No runways, guys. None was available for me to land because they were doing. You don't remember that? They were having a big event and they had no time.
I do remember that.
They had no time for us to land, and I understood it. They couldn't put us in the patterns or nothing because they had so much. And oh man, if I remember correctly, I didn't even go to another airport because I didn't have enough fuel. I only had enough to go to that airport. I can't remember where it was, but man. So
I think it was LAX, if I remember right.
And being on the V-Pilot topic here, you guys, I just want to give you a heads up that 90% of your controllers are really, really outstanding people. However, from time to time, you get a knucklehead. And they have no means, no space for kindness.
You want to tell them the story about the knucklehead at Los Angeles that you got on takeoff and he got promptly booted out by the supervisor behind you?
I don't remember the full thing because there have been so many different ones. You tell that one because I can't remember all the details.
So what happened was Johnny was setting up his, flight as usual. Said, I'm going to be going. I need IFR clearance. I can't remember where you were going. I think it was DFW. And got clearance, got to the runway, got clearance to take off. Well, no. There was no control on at the time. So he went on Unicom, said, I'm going to the runway, repositioned, took off, said he had cleared the runway. All of a sudden, this knucklehead comes on and says, you need to come back. You didn't get clearance for me for takeoff. And he says, sir, you were not on here when I took off. And he had looked. And that's another thing that I forgot to point out, too. When you're on the ground, before you do anything, if you don't see any control on, always triple check. And
always.
He did that.
Always.
No control on. None. And he was on Unicom. This guy comes on and says, sir, you need to come back. You didn't get clearance. And he said, you weren't on here when I took off. The guy tried to basically say, well, no, I was on here the whole time. You just didn't get clearance.
Yeah.
So he didn't go back. He's like, I'm just going to keep going. This guy tried to give him a wrong heading. And the supervisor that was on behind him was observing and basically said, don't listen to this guy. Him and I are going to have a chat in a little bit. And the guy, instead of being professional, acts like a dumb idiot, comes on after the supervisor says that and says, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to do my job? And the supervisor said, well, you know what? You and I need to have a talk now. I'd advise you get off this frequency. And she just basically told Johnny to keep going. He's never had the guy again. Never. And I've encountered a few of those myself. Especially at DFW. I've encountered a few there.
I
remember the very first time I was on VATSIM at DFW. I took off. I was learning the ropes with Tramp. This is when we had freeware. I was trying to figure out how to change headings quickly. This knucklehead says, I need you to go to heading 165 now. And I was new at the time, and he was
28,000 feet point.
very
Yeah.
rude about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I reported him, and I have never had him since then either. So,
You know, I gotta say that I am
Charleston, Illinois, United States,
glad
4.3 nautical miles, 230 degrees point, Central Standard Time point.
that PMDG came out.
I got to say that too. It's going to make it a lot easier for me when I go on VATSIM next.
You know, because here, I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad here, you know, about freeware. I'm not. Because there's going to be a lot of you out there that, you know, truth be said, there's going to be a lot of you that are not going to be
39,000 feet point.
ready for PMDG. And
Well, and there's some that can't afford it.
well, that too, but also because of the learning edge of it, you know.
The learning curve, yeah.
Yeah, if you've never simmed before, it's going to be hard for you to, you know, just jump into a sim and be like, okay, here we go. I'm ready to go. You know, so some of you will, you know, had to come in slow, and you're probably going to be, you know, flying some freeware, and there's nothing wrong with freeware.
And one light off.
From the flight deck, we've reached our cruising
Absolutely
But-
altitude. The flight attendants will begin their service shortly. In the meantime, please keep
It's,
your seatbelts fastened
you know,
as trim
to me, I'm
limits
glad
at any time.
that
Get welcome aboard.
I'm really glad that we've got
Seatbelt select. We're off.
the option now to fly something like, you know, PMVG,
Yeah. Yep.
because there's more stuff that we can do, right? Like there's more that we can do with the PMVG when it comes to a flight. And let me give you guys an example. With freeware, I'm going to tell you now with certainty that if you want to change your flight plan or whatever, you're not going to be able to do that so easily.
Nope.
Now with the PMDG and in the Boeing, you can add in a second airport for your alternate. And that's what I like about it.
Which is what I'll probably do every time I do a flight with it.
Yeah. Let me check and see. Give you guys a quick update because I've not been able to do that yet because of all the. We're finally at cruise altitude.
30,000 feet ASL point.
30,000 feet.
Wind 292 at 25 knots point. Gust at 0 knots
Wind
point.
is 292 at 25 knots.
Wind 292 at 25 knots point. Gust at 0 knots point. Minus 29 degrees.
Not bad on temperature. We don't need the anti-ice because temperature's only minus 29. So we're good there.
Yeah,
We
if
don't
it's
need
minus
it.
60 or below.
Yeah,
then
you
we
really don't
definitely
need it.
Or it's,
I usually turn it on
Yeah.
if it's minus 40. If it's lower than minus 40, I'll turn it on. But in this case, and that's another point. Like on freeware, there's a lot of this stuff that you can't go in and
You can't do.
customize. You know, for
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.
some of it's got hotkeys, but like I can adjust the brightness of my cockpit lights. I can turn on my wing lights or turn them off. I can turn on my wheel well lights or turn them off. I can turn, like, there's so much you can do with this stuff. And let me see here.
Cockpit panels dialog. Cockpit panels preview over at KLAX 106 level 1.
I'll give you guys a
Expanded.
bit of an update here. Come on. Alright, let's see.
Clear search results button F4. Search for panels at F2 max. Cockpit panels preview level 2 and DX 1 of 21.
And like right here, I got panels, I got them customized. I've got the
Level 2 of
anti-ice,
21 level 2.
wipers,
Dome lights 3 of 21 level 2.
dome lights. So I go to
lights on
dome
cockpit panels plus
lights,
X waypoints. Type.
and you got dim,
Dome lights off. Off.
off,
Right. Off.
or
Dome lights off.
bright. Well, I got them on bright because it's dark out tonight.
Search for panels at F2 max.
Um,
Dome lights combo box right left alt plus D. Cockpit panels preview. No lights.
You know, so there's different things that you can do.
Air system 521 level 2.
Like air
Air
systems,
system
for
tab control. Air force tab
example.
selected 107.
You've got air
force
source
combo box
control,
process.
and there's different ones you can do.
Search for panels at F2 bang. Air force tab selected 107. Packs tab selected 207.
Even packs, there's the packs.
Left pack combo box auto collapse alt plus L.
You know, for your that's what gives the passengers air and keeps them cool.
Right pack combo box auto collapse alt plus R.
You can adjust it. Like right now, it's on auto.
Left pack combo box auto collapse alt plus L.
But if I wanted to, I could set it to
Left pack
high.
combo box high. Auto. Left pack combo box auto.
You can.
And you better hope that doesn't go
Air
out
tab
during
selected 307.
flight like what happened to poor Johnny in real life, and I'm not joking.
Yeah.
That actually did happen to him.
Left air read toggle button alt plus L.
Yeah, true story, and
Air read tab
I'll
selected 307.
I'll tell you guys that here in a
Air read
minute.
tab selected 307.
You can even go into air
Left air read toggle button
bleed.
press alt plus L. Right air read toggle button press alt plus R.
There's a
Left air read toggle button press alt plus L.
left air bleed's toggled.
Right air read toggle button press alt plus
Right
L.
air bleed is toggled. I don't know what that's for.
Apple read toggle button press alt plus
To
A.
be honest, there's an APU bleed toggle.
Search for panels at F2 bang.
I am
Air system
curious.
tactical.
I'm not sure
Right air
what
read toggle.
that,
Left air read toggle
what
button
them bleed
read tab
toggles
selected
are
307.
even, what it even does.
Research
Echo.
tab tab selected 407. Left research
What
tab
is
toggle button press alt
left
plus L.
air bleed
Left
aircraft?
research tab toggle button press alt plus R. Left research tab toggle button press alt plus L.
There's a, I think these are fans, recirc toggled,
Right research tab toggle button press alt plus
right
R.
recirc fan toggled.
Left
I
research
think
tab toggle
that's
button
your
press alt plus L.
air circulation, I
Research tab
believe.
tab selected 407.
Okay,
Air tab selected
so
507.
the air bleed that you were talking about it's basically to do with the distribution of air to the engines.
Air trim toggle button press alt plus T. Air trim tab selected 507.
See, like right here,
Air trim toggle button press alt plus T.
air trim, obviously that's got to be toggled.
Search for panels at F2 bang. Air system
If
tab
that was
Air tab
off,
selected
I would think your engines would overheat.
Valve tab selected 607.
Then
I think
there's
they would.
even, you can
Outflow valve
even
combo box
go
neutral collapse
in
alt
and you can adjust your
Valve tab selected 607. Outflow valve combo
valves.
box neutral collapse alt plus O.
Outflow valve is on neutral.
Isolation valve combo box auto collapse alt plus I.
Isolation valve is on
Search
auto.
for panels at F2 bang. Air system tab control. Valve tab selected 607. Isolation valve combo box auto collapse alt plus I.
I think that's got to do with the,
Outflow valve combo box neutral collapse alt plus O.
there's a neutral, closed, neutral, open. I think that's got to do with the air going over the wings to keep them cool.
Valve tab selected 607. Indicators tab selected 707.
And then you got indicators. You can see what's going on with your airplane.
Flight deck temperature indicator red only off.
Flight deck temperature off. These are all indicators.
Aft cabin temperature indicator red only off. Dual bleed indicator red only off.
Dual bleed off, left bleed, bleed, right bleed, left ram door, right ram door, the pack warnings, left wing, right wing overheat, which is really cool because you can really look at, hey, what's the problem?
Air system tab control indicators tab selected 707.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Air force tab selected 107.
So,
Cockpit panels preview.
Yeah.
Air system 5. Apple 621 level 2. Search for panels at F2.
and then some of these panels on the beta version's not done yet
Control plus F.
all the way, but
Cockpit panels preview. CVR 721 level 2.
there's
CVR
a
control plus F.
CVR test. I don't know what
Cockpit
that,
panels preview. CVR 721 level 2.
I'm not sure what that
CVR
is,
21 level
but,
2. Electrical minus 21 level 2. Search for panels at F2 bang.
some of these, like I said, some of these panels ain't finished, but
Panels 21 level 2.
the point is you can go in and you can,
Exterior lights 11 of 21 level 2.
like right here,
Exterior lights tab control. Retractable landing tab selected 1 of 4.
exterior lights, retractable landing light tab,
Retractable combo box retractable landing tab selected 1. Fixed landing tab selected 2 of 4.
fixed landing,
Runway turn off tab selected 3 of 4.
runway turn off,
Exterior safety tab selected 4 of 4.
exterior safety,
Taxi light toggle button press alt plus T.
there's a taxi
Logo light
light,
toggle button press alt plus T.
logo lights, we'll turn them on.
Logo lights on. Press logo on point.
See, I can turn on the
Wing lights toggle button
lights,
press alt plus A.
anti-collision light, that's already
Wing
on.
lights toggle button press alt plus W.
Wing lights ain't on, we'll turn those on
That's
too.
definitely
Wing lights
got to
on.
be
Press wing on
on.
point.
Why
Wheel
not?
lights toggle button press alt plus H.
Wheel well lights, them have to be on when you're taxiing, I believe.
Search for panels at F2 bang. Clear search results. Reset panel order button F5.
I think.
Cockpit panel preview. Exterior lights 11 of 21 level 2.
Could be wrong, I have to ask George on that one.
Flight controls level 21 level 2.
And
Fuel
then
21 level
you
2.
got
Yeah,
flight
I'm not sure
controls,
about that
you
one.
got fuel.
Search for panels at F2 bang. Cockpit panel preview. Fuel 13 of 20. Gear 14 of 21 level 2.
All this is all organized now. You got your gear tab,
Hydraulics 15 of 21 level 2. Main
hydraulics,
16 of 21 level 2. Navigation display 17 of 21
your
level 2.
main navigation
Search for panels at F2
displays,
bang. Cockpit panels preview. Navigation displays. Oxygen 18 of 21 level 2.
oxygen,
Oxygen level at red only plus L 67%.
See, it shows what the oxygen level is, 67%.
Oxygen level is red. Oxygen toggle button not pressed. Alt+O.
Oxygen toggle not pressed. I think if you hit that, it turns on more oxygen, I think.
Packed oxygen indicator red on the Alt+1 off.
I bet it does.
Packed oxygen indicator is off, which means if there's no oxygen to the passengers, I think.
Packed oxygen indicator red. Oxygen toggle button not pressed. Alt+O.
Or no, that's for the packs. That means if it was overheating or something.
Oxygen level is red on the Alt+O 67%.
And I'll tell you about that story here in just a second. I'm almost through this.
I'm kind of glad I wasn't on that flight.
You got pressurization.
Pressurization mode combo box auto collapse Alt plus P.
There's auto.
Flight altitude Alt plus F30,000.
Flight altitude.
Alt plus L100.
Landing altitude. That's got to do with, you know, the pressure in the cabin.
Cockpit panels preview pressurization. 220 of 21 level 2.
And then
Service phone 21 of 21 level 2.
service phone. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff in this panel, and it, like I said, freeware you can't do that. You know, which again, I'm not saying nothing bad about freeware. You know, we've done plenty of flying with freeware. Plenty.
Yep.
All right, let's see what we got going on here. So we've got 1,367 miles. What I wanted to go over here, and this would be useful to you too, Brandon. Me and George was talking about this last night, I think, is when we was talking about it. But
293.5.6 nm.
okay, yeah, we're on track. So,
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.8.001 column 2.
and I want everybody to kind of, well, let me tell this story real quick, and then I'll go over what I wanted to share with you guys. It's really important because it can help you out a lot. So, anyway, let's talk about my little Louisville trip. So,
next waypoint MCI point distance 238 nautical miles point bearing 266 degrees.
I had done flew probably,
0.33 minutes 13 seconds.
what, I don't know, several times back and forth to different places. Yeah. And, you know, first time I ever flew, I was a little nervous. But then after that, you kind of get used to it, and you start to feel a little better every time you fly. And, I had flew down to North Carolina. Is that where I went? Was it North Carolina? I went to Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, so
Charlotte.
I flew out of Louisville, went to Shortcut Charlotte, and then from Shortcut Charlotte, I flew over to Evergreen, North Carolina, which is about a 1 hour flight from Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, it was a normal flight, other than there was one time, you know, between Charlotte and Evergreen, there was so much turbulence, the flight attendants wasn't even allowed to be up out of their seat. You know, when they tell the flight attendants to stay in their seat, that they're dealing with a lot of wind. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was a little nervous, a little kind of nerve-wracking, you know. I'm like, oh, man, this sucks. Anyway, no big deal. Made it to Evergreen or Charlotte. I can't remember which direction I was going. But anyway, on the way back, went from Evergreen to Charlotte. It was you always had to go to Charlotte because you couldn't get a direct flight out of Evergreen to Louisville or to Miami or wherever you want to go. So we went on over to Shortcut Charlotte. Sorry, Charlotte, but that's what y'all are. And that was okay. We landed at Shortcut Charlotte. Had a 2 hour delay. It was okay. I went to Burger King and got some of their burnt burgers. It tastes like crap. Y'all need to get new workers. For some reason, you can go to McDonald's in an airport and it don't taste the same. Go to Burger King airport, it don't taste the same.
It doesn't.
I don't know why, but it just doesn't.
That in Houston.
Yeah, it doesn't, dude. Wendy's. The food seems like it's a lower quality or something. I don't know. Anyway,
I think it is.
We loaded up on the one of them, what do they call them? Bombardiers or whatever they're called.
Bombardier.
I hate them. I don't like them planes. The seats are too small.
I don't.
Anyway,
know.
We're flying. Everything seems normal, and we get in to Louisville. Now we're not landing yet, but we're in Louisville, and I smell something burning. It smells like rubber, and I'm going, oh my God. Flight attendant came through and said, "Everyone stay in your seats. Please be calm. It's okay. We're landing now. Emergency landing." I thought, oh shoot. What's next? Brace position. Put your head between your legs. Anyway,
Between
this
your knees,
pilot brings us down from 24,000 feet to the ground within just a few minutes. He was that good. Got us landed. He landed at the edge of the airport. We were on concrete. We were on a runway, but it was right at the edge. As far out as you could be.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even the normal runway you would land on. It was way out. I think we was 1.5 miles from the gate.
Wow.
Because Louisville's big, y'all.
Yeah.
So, we stood out there all day. Senior citizens sitting on the hot pavement, sitting in the grass. And what happened was one of the cool packs overheated.
Yep.
And somehow or another, they didn't catch it at Charlotte. Somebody, because when you land, for example, in reality, if this was a real plane I'm flying right now, when I get down to Los Angeles, when I land, they got to do a full check. Got to check everything.
Yep.
Before that plane takes off again. Well, good old shortcut Charlotte. Some of the engineers like to say, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine."
Turns out that's not the first time it's happened there.
No, and the thing is, when you fly with American Airlines, you will also fly with another one that will be called, I think, Eagle or something like that, American Eagle or something like that. And they all fly them Bombardiers. I don't like Bombardiers. I don't like those planes.
Boy, I got my own little flight story about a Bombardier too.
So yeah. Well, what's your story, Brandon? What you got?
I remember this. I remember this very, very well.
You didn't meet a prostitute on a Bombardier, did you?
No.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
Actually,
just kidding.
Monday is actually the day this happened, because this is exactly when was this? 2019. So 4 years to the day. Yeah, Monday. So I was headed to Erie, Pennsylvania. I had to fly out of Austin, go through Chicago, and then on to Erie. Well, got to Chicago okay. Got on one of those Bombardier aircraft, and this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time in Chicago. Over 90 plus degrees. I'm thinking, okay, this plane's going to be all right. It's going to be nice and cool. Get on the plane, no power, nothing. Just dead.
Brandon, talk to these guys for a minute. I got a call coming in here, so keep talking to them, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll be back.
So yeah, I get on the plane. Dead silence. Nothing's going on. I'm going, what the heck's going on here? Flight attendants come around. They're like, well, we're sorry, folks. The APU's not working. So we got to get an air start cart. So literally, we sat there, I'd say almost half an hour, until they got this air cart to start the engines of the plane, because they had no ground power. And they left the door open when they did this, and it was really interesting sounding, because it's basically a big jet-powered turbine that they basically hook up to the engines via hoses, and it spins up the engine's turbines so that they can start. And oh my gosh, it was the most miserable experience that day because of the fact it was over 90 degrees, really, really hot, even on the plane. And the flight attendants had to pass out water to us all because it was so hot. And it was bad. It was very, very bad. Luckily, they got the plane started and we were able to depart a little bit later than normal. But I hope I never have to go through something like that again, because that was awful, 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 especially during this time of the year. So, that's my story about a bombardier, and I definitely don't like them either because they're too small and they're cramped. You really don't have enough room to do anything. You can't stretch out. You're in danger of bumping into people near you because the planes are so small. I just feel like you're a sardine in a can when you're flying on one of those planes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, dude. And you know, you look, you can either have a bad experience and say, man, I'm never flying again, or you can look at it just like you look at anything else and say, well, you know what, just because I had a bad experience don't mean next time I fly it's going to be bad.
And have I flown since then? Yes, I flew 2 years ago, actually.
And this is real, you guys. I know some people might think it's not true, but it is much safer to fly than it is to be in a car. It's true.
Yep.
True story.
It's absolutely
true. Facts. So let's talk about something that I want you guys, and Brandon, this is something, you know, mentally you can take notes here. I'm putting some stuff together. I'm putting a tutorial together on this too, to show people how to set up transitions and what I mean by that is sometimes you'll get a flight plan like, well, let's just say Indianapolis to LAX. Well, when I first went through and set up the flight plan, I just followed what it said. Meaning, you know, I picked what it said on the flight plan for the you know, for the star and for the SID and all that. Well, when you go in and you look at your leg pages that you've got your departure and arrival set up, and you're looking at your arrival part of it, so like the last 2 pages of your leg pages. So like, if there's, say, 9 pages, you'd look at 7 and 8, and you'd be able to tell. Mm-hmm. So, let's say you're on page 7, for example, and the top line on line 1 says, okay, the first altitude you're going to be going down to on descent is, let's say, 29,000 from 33,000. And then it says 24,000 or above. Then you go down the next line and it'll say 18,000. And then you get down to the very last few lines before the runway, and the line above, so you go 2 lines up from your runway, and that's your that'd be where you catch your localizer. So let's say that the localizer says 4,000A, which I always get rid of the A, but you look above your localizer line. Let's say localizer's on line 2, okay, and on line 1 it said Gens altitude 12,000. If you see that you're going from 12,000 and then the next line down for your localizer is 4,000, you have no transition point. You're not, there's nothing to guide you from 12,000 down to 4,000.
4,000.
Right? You'll know when you've got a good transition, because it'll go like 12,000, the next line will say 8,000, next line will say 6,000. And then you know you got a decent transition. But when there's a big gap like that, always go and look at other transitions on the leg page. It's a lot to understand when I'm just saying it. It'll make more sense when I'm showing it. But just look at your flight plan, and if you see that there's a big gap, try a different transition. Now, I said there was no transition. Well, it was like a transition, but it's a horrible transition to go from 12,000 down to 4,000, right? That's a crappy transition. Look at your transitions and try to get, one where your waypoints are closer together on altitude. Because it's going to make it much easier for coming in to land. Because that's what I ended up doing on mine. I went back, I deleted it. I went back in and I selected a different transition. And it wasn't so...
It wasn't so roller coaster like.
No. Dog, I really hope. But you gotta look at it. You gotta look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let me see. Hold on one second, I'll be right.
Alright.
Hold on. Bear with me. Sometimes doggies have accidents, and I got a spot because my doggie had an accident.
Uh-oh.
Well, she's got a poop pad, so when she's inside at night, she was trained. My niece had her on that for like a year, so I wish they wouldn't have done that because it's harder. It makes it harder teaching your dog, hey, no, you go outside. But it is what it is. I'm not going to... Some people say, oh, yell at them, or, oh, rub their nose in it. How would you like to have an accident and someone rub your nose in it, right? Like, you don't do that.
That's horrible to do to a dog.
I don't know why people think that that's true. Oh, yeah, people say rub their nose, it teaches them. No, it doesn't. That is cruel. To rub your dog's nose in freaking their own poop. That is so cruel, man. Like,
I agree.
I would not do that to any dog. I would not.
People amaze me at the amount of ridiculous things they've come up with to quote-unquote train dogs. They do that, they do shock collars, choke chains, choke collars. It's cruel. It's all cruel.
You're okay. And where she would get yelled at, she's so worried, like, I'm not going to yell at dogs.
How would you like it as a human if you were done that way? Like with some of the stuff that people have made to do to dogs, how would people like it if that same stuff was applied to them?
Yeah. And some people, well, this is nasty, I gotta clean that up. Well, it's part of owning the dog. It really is. It's part of owning the dog, people.
Well, it's no different than having a baby, having to change a diaper.
No, it really ain't.
But you don't do cruel things to a baby when they do things like that. So what makes a dog different?
Exactly. I knew she did it because I was like, man, what is that smell? And I realized that her puppy pad is in the corner of the room. And when I walked out, I must have stepped in a little, but it ain't a big deal. It's not enough to beat your dog or yell at your dog or scream at your dog. Come on, people.
No.
Like, and actually, she didn't even have an accident. Sometimes when she goes on her pad, she will get at the edge of it. She's trying to go on the pad, right? But she gets at the edge of it. And
Right.
she don't know any better. I mean, come on. Where you at, girl?
That's just.
Willow. Willow.
Oh, I think she's afraid that you're gonna yell at her.
Yeah, and I'm not going to. I'm not going. You're okay. Come here, girl. Want a treat? Sucker. Sucker. Come here.
So
Come
yeah,
here.
I'll
Up,
take a treat.
up, up. Hi, baby. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to yell at you. You're my girl. You're my girl. Yes. See, I had an accident, Dad. I had an accident, Daddy. It's okay. Give me kisses. Come on, we gotta get your food picked up. Mommy will kick my ever-living booty if she knew I still had your food down this late at night. Usually I take her food up
Boy.
and I take her water up. And someone tries to say, well, you should never take your water up. Yes, I do, at nighttime. Look, dog ain't gonna die. You take it up at night, well, her food, for sure, but if you're trying to teach your dog not to go in the house, well, if you want to slow that down, take their water up at like 9 o'clock at night. They'll be fine. It's not going to be like you're starving them. It's just, you know.
I don't know why some people who have never raised dogs seem to think they know what they're talking about, and they don't. And I've been around dogs all my life.
Yeah. Well, it's like me, you know, I went to a guide dog school, and, you know, some might think that, oh, well, that don't mean you know everything. Well, no, I don't know everything, but what I do know, they teach you. It's not just about the dog and you having a connection. They teach you the things you should know with having a dog. You know,
Exactly.
So go lay down, girl.
Having a dog is no different than having a child.
No, it's not.
You know, you got to be responsible for both.
And you know, look, I took care of the problem. No big deal. It was just at the edge of the puppy pad is all it was.
See, she's not. She's a good girl. She didn't mean to do that. Like,
no, she
that's
didn't.
no reason to yell at a dog.
No, not at all. Yeah, I don't yell at her like that. I don't, you know, but again, some people are different. They think, you know, you can't go off of human instinct on what you should do with the dog and base it on human. You can't. You got to base it on it being a dog. Like, you know how many people that I see, Brandon, that will scream at a dog and give it like a full sentence command? They don't know what that means, people.
I know.
They have no idea. For example, if you had a dog and you kept yelling at it because it wouldn't listen whenever you'd say, get over there by that door. They don't know what you're talking about.
They don't know what that means.
If you're at the door and you say, come here, or come, then yes, they know what that means. Or they can know what that means.
I've noticed some people, like when they want a dog to get in their bed, they'll say, get in your bed, instead of just lay down.
Yeah. Dogs do better with
in your bed.
One command. They can go off of two, but they do a lot better with one command. One command. Like come, down, in, out,
sit,
curb, heel, roundabout.
Yeah. I've never heard that one.
No, it's not. Not roundabout. Leftabout. Wait, let me think. I gotta think. Let's see. No, sorry, right about. Not leftabout. Right about.
Oh.
That means when you're holding a dog's harness and you're a right about means turn around. Basically, go back the way you came.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But come here, girl. Come here. Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Where's your toy at? Oh, there it is. There it is, my girl. I'll get your bone. Can I have your bone? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get your bone. I'm gonna get your bone. Ah,
I
here
gotta
it is.
recommend a really good documentary to you guys on Netflix. If y'all like documentaries, but I gotta warn you, it's gonna make you a little bit on the angry side when you watch it. It's called Taking Care of Maya.
Yeah, we're gonna do a we're gonna do a
We're gonna do a video on that. I love that. I love how she growls like that. Wow.
5.57 points.
She can get rowdy. Drop it.
She gets really intense
Drop
with
it.
that.
Drop it. Get it.
125.25 points.
She's a good dog. Bring it here. Get it. Good girl. Good job. Lay down there. She's a good dog. All right, let's get back to the cockpit here.
She definitely listens very well.
She does. She's a great dog. I love her to death. All right, let's take a look.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
Looks like
Wind 275 with 57 knots, point, gust at 0 knots, point.
I'm guessing you've told everybody who watches about Sarah.
yes.
Wind 275 with 57 knots, point, gust at 0 knots, point.
Wind is 275 at 57 knots.
Minus 32 degrees.
Minus 32 degrees.
Distance to descent at 1188/0. Distance to descent 1188/0, colon 257.44.
And then distance till
Distance to
descent,
descent 1187/0, colon
1,188 miles.
Total fuel 26,602.
We got 26,278 pounds of fuel,
Carroll, Missouri, United States.
and we're currently flying over Carroll, Missouri. So,
Okay. You flew over a place called Independence, Missouri. That's where my dad's sister lives. One
Yeah.
of my aunts.
you know what I wish? I wish that they had. Now I know on the one program you can get it where it will tell you about big like historic places, but I wish they had an add-on, and I need to look. There might be one for Microsoft where you could, it would, if you want to, give you announce like different popular, points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do have one. It's called Bush Talk Radio, but
Yeah, I know they
mainly
got
for the
that one,
smaller
but
planes.
I'm talking about, for something like the planes we fly where it could kind of represent
Oh, okay, yeah.
like a flight attendant telling you, hey folks, just in case you might want to know, we are now flying over, a historical place where John F. Kennedy once was, or just
Right.
something cool like that to add more to the.
That would be really cool, actually, if we could have something like that. Because I've always wondered, like, what are we flying over? Because
Yeah, and there's a lot of Microsoft's got a lot of add-ons, a lot of stuff out there. I've not looked here lately, but
they do.
they're always coming out with new stuff. But yeah, my our pilot that we know is actually Brazil.
Hey, what?
Going to Brazil.
Wow.
Flying to Brazil.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Man.
Actually, he might be there by now.
think that's like a 7 or 8 hour time difference for us.
It's a long flight too, I think.
Is he? I'm sure he's going to Rio de Janeiro.
Actually, he is. Yeah, I believe that is
Wow.
where he's going.
Going right to the capital.
You know, you wouldn't believe how much cargo comes in and out of the United States by the hour.
Oh,
By
I'm sure
the
there's
hour.
Tons of cargo.
Yeah.
I gotta say, and I was telling somebody else this a while back, like, I like to fly, and I thought I was used to really, really big airports when I flew out of Austin, but I remember the first time 2 years ago when I flew into LAX and saw how big it was, it just blew my mind.
Oh,
I'm
it's
like, wow,
it's
this
yeah.
is huge.
It is. Brandon, I want to do something here. I'm going to be, and then you can just reconnect to the server, but I'm going to call you on the landlines, well, not landline, but on the side, because I want to tell you something, but I can't talk about it on YouTube because they got policies and
Okay. Right.
I don't want to, but guys, we'll be back here in just a little tight. I'm going to call you now, Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon left channel. Brandon logged out of the server.
NAV1 has localizer. Localizer is alive. Runway heading 10.
Comma 127.90 point.
BDI pilot, Niner Delta Whiskey, Kansas City Center. Continue as planned. United 1481 contact, Kansas City Center on 123.8. Good day. Going to 123.8 United 1481.
Next waypoint, HTO point distance, 417 nautical miles, point bearing, 267 degrees, point 1 hours, 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
Center on 123.8. Good day.
Comma 123.80 point.
BDI pilot, Niner Delta Whiskey, Kansas City Center. Continue as planned. Kansas City Center, Frontier Flight 559er Heavy, flight level 360. Frontier Flight 559er Heavy, Kansas City Center. Continue to Golf Charlie Kilo as planned. United 1178 contact, Kansas City Center on 127.725. Good day. One two seven decimal 725, United 1178.
Glide slope is alive. NAV1 has glide slope.
Tuscaloosa, Kansas, United States point. 5.1 nautical miles, 222 degrees point.
Southwest 1395 climb and maintain flight level 400. Frontier Flight 559er Heavy, descend and maintain flight level tree 60. Descend and maintain flight level tree 60 Frontier Flight 559er Heavy. Southwest 485 descend and maintain flight level tree 50. Southwest 485 descend and maintain flight level tree 50. American 1484 descend and maintain flight level 260. Southwest 485 descend and maintain flight level tree 50. American 1484 Southwest 485 descend and maintain flight level tree 50. Southwest 1731 climb and maintain flight level tree 90. American 1484 descend and maintain flight level 260. Southwest 1731 climb and maintain flight level 390. Southwest 485 descend and maintain flight level 350.
Saturday, June 24th, 2023. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3. Distance to descent 1062/0:24.
Southwest 1731
E31.
climb and maintain flight level 390.
At RTEX1/6. Forms.main row 1. Star Untitled book at row 1. The Pilot Lounge Team Talk 5 Classic 3.5.6.
American 630 descend and maintain flight level 350.
The Pilot Lounge Team Talk 5 Classic 3.5.6. 0.3. The Pilot Lounge Team Talk 5.
Southwest 1731 climb and maintain flight level.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3
All right, my friends, my folks, my people, welcome back. Let's see what we got going on here. 2 hours and 39 minutes we're currently flying
Kansas, United States.
over Kansas. We're flying over Kansas. Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying the flight so far. Do I got chat on? I don't think I do.
At RTEX1. Forms.main row 1. Star Untitled book at row. FSUIPC7 console log row 1 column 5. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3 row 1 column 1. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.
Now it doesn't look like I do, but I will pull up the chat on my phone here, and you guys can talk. If you're watching through YouTube, you can put chat in there, and I'll see it. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone here. Open YouTube. Let's see. Open YouTube.
Southwest 1395 climb and maintain flight level 400. United 1115
Here we go.
and maintain flight level 340.
All right. Alright, so I got the YouTube pulled up here, so if you guys want to chat, you can.
Southwest 1395 climb and maintain flight level 400. United 1115 descend and maintain flight level 340.
Yeah, let's close that.
United 1115 descend and maintain flight level 340. Southwest 1395 climb and maintain flight. Descend and maintain.
Well, I'll tell you what, we don't got viewers right now, so we will.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3
I'll record the landing, but
Kansas City Center, Frontier Flight 559er Heavy, flight level 360.
Manhattan Cap. This United States point.
NVDA is being stupid here.
4 point search.
Continue to Golf Charlie Kilo as planned.
Ops 29.1.3 profile untitled.
Hold on, folks.
Kansas City Center, United 1481, flight level 300.
Ops 29.1.3 profile untitled scene simulation window. Controls window. Ops 29.1.3. Configure virtual studio mode check. Settings button. Studio. Start virtual camera checkbox check. Start recording. Stop streaming checkbox checked.
Alright. So I will do a recording on the landing, but me and somebody's hanging out tonight. We'll end it early, and